Welcome to Breakthrough Mode, the podcast where we intentionally get into the driver's seat of our lives, shift out of monotony and mediocrity, and step on the gas towards becoming the person we were always meant to become. Hello and welcome to Monday Morning with Megan on the Breakthrough Mode podcast. This is episode 280. I am your host, Megan Bauer. Thank you so much for joining me and pushing play on today's episode. Last week was a really great week where we focused on the difference between existing and getting through our life and just going through the motions and fully living and experiencing our lives, being present, being in the moment, being in the experience of whatever it is you are experiencing. This week, we are going to take it to a whole nother level. And I am so excited about this week and how this all came together. You might get the idea that there's a grand master plan behind the podcast, and sometimes there is. With like the summer shift series that we did, I had all 3 weeks of the summer shift planned out, but this one came together by none other than divine design. And I love it for that. I love it for that. So I am so excited and honored for this week that I get to present this to you. And I hope that you will bring it in, that you will let these thoughts and these ideas sink into you and inspire you to create a life that you can live even more fully. This week's topic and this week's theme is one simple, powerful word: alive. We are all right now on this planet alive. And last week we talked about the difference between existing and fully living. And now I want us to lean into being as alive as possible. And this can vary. No. So I'm going to start us off with a quote. And you've probably heard this quote, but I'm going to give it to you because it's so good, it's so necessary, and this is exactly where we are headed this week. This is by Howard Thurman. He said, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it." Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Now, the very interesting and the very sad part of this is that needed to be said. Howard Thurman needed to say that. He was out in the world and made an observation that there are people on this planet who are here, they are existing, but they are not fully alive. And the difference he is noticing here is that those who are fully alive, fully engaged in their lives, fully shining their light, being who they feel called to be, those are the people who are making a positive impact on the world. Those are the people who are making a positive contribution. And that is what the world needs. We need people who are fully alive, fully engaged with their lives, living intentionally, creating intentionally, being who they are called to be. And I would definitely argue that you cannot be fully alive without being on the path of your own becoming. Because when you are not on the path of your intentional becoming, that doesn't feel good. It feels heavy. It feels obligatory. It feels really like an experience that you don't want to have. So what I would say is that when you are intentionally becoming, when you are intentionally creating your life, when you are living from a place of intention, the added benefit is that you get to feel alive. Being alive, the experience of aliveness, is a byproduct of how you are living. It's a byproduct of the way you're showing up, of what you are doing, of how you are listening to yourself, of how you are intentionally becoming, intentionally creating, intentionally living. And I love that word intentional. I know I use it on the podcast all of the time, but this is really the crux of it. Very few people, I don't want to say absolutely no one, but I would say very few people go about life and trip into their potential. They trip into like who they're meant to be. And it just happens on accident. Maybe it's out there. I'm not going to say it's not 100%. I'm going to say it's highly unlikely because when I think about all of the incredible things that people have created in the world, sometimes I marvel at how that happened, how it came to be. And like, especially when it comes to baking, I know there's a whole science behind baking that is so beyond me, mostly because I don't care enough. But how did anybody figure that out? Nobody tripped and fell into the recipe for brownies. Like somebody intentionally created that. And then somebody else intentionally made it better. And somebody intentionally modified it. And we didn't do these things on accident. Maybe there are some recipes that came on accident. Sure, sure, sure. We can think of some come to my mind. But what I'm saying is the vast majority of the time, all great things are created intentionally. And if you just want to sit back and wait for the perfect life, the most incredible life to land in your lap, you'll likely be waiting a long time. However, you can do something today to start bringing that in, to start creating that for yourself right now. You don't have to passively sit back and wait for it to fall out of the sky, which it likely won't. So, intentionality is so much a part of this. It's so much a part of being truly alive. Have you ever gone somewhere where, like, I'm thinking of, okay, this analogy is coming to me right now of going somewhere for dinner and there's just the one thing. Maybe it's a catered meal and it's like, okay, great. I get chicken and green beans and, yams and this is my dinner. And you're just handed it, right? And sure, there's gratitude for it. Like, thank you for feeding me. I'm so grateful for this food. And it's maybe not what I wanted. It's not what I would have picked. I'm not really feeling it, and you can take it and you can eat it and it can be a very passive experience. But on the other hand, when you get to choose the restaurant, when you get to choose the meal off of the menu, or when you get to make the very thing that you want to make, that intention of bringing in exactly what you wanted to experience gives you a higher feeling of being alive. And it's something that you actually want to engage in. It's not this passive handing you a plate of food. It's an intentional creation of your experience. And life is like that. We get to intentionally choose what goes on our plate. Sometimes it feels like we don't. Sometimes it feels like things are just put on our plate for us. And that's a whole nother bag. But this week, we are focused on being alive, truly alive, intentionally creating, intentionally living. This may sound selfish, but this is exactly what the world needs. We need you to be fully alive so that you can make your difference, so that you can shine your light, so you can make your impact in whatever sphere feels good to you. That doesn't mean fame. It doesn't mean having your own podcast, unless it does. But even making the difference to your own family, even making a difference to your own neighbors, to your own community, has a ripple effect that cannot be measured. So you living your life fully alive is exactly what the world needs you to do. And so if you're worried about selfishness, you living in a place of not being fully alive, of being a passive participant of your life, that is selfish. Because then you're denying the world you. You're denying the world your light, who you're meant to become, what you uniquely bring to the table. That is the selfish thing. I'm so excited for this week. I hope you're on my email list. I'll send you an email tomorrow. We'll be back here on Wednesday. I totally love you. Bye for now.